What's up, guys? It's your favorite happy elf, Gaz, and today we're doing a Kuva Survival Requiem guide. And this one's a little bit hard to actually go into because this mission is not a permanent mission. It's actually a temporary fissure mission. If you know what a fissure is, these will rotate throughout the day, and whatever is currently up is pretty much random as far as it seems. So currently, we're looking at these missions down here, Requiem fissures. These are the highest level fissures in the game. We've got the rescue right now. We're looking for the survival. So the survival is going to be on only this one node in the entire game right here called Tavioni. I don't know how you pronounce that, but it will pop up just randomly, and it will be one called Requiem Fissure Kuva Survival here. So the way that works is, if you see my previous Kuva Survival guide from like a year ago, the general gist of the mission is you hop in there. It's pretty much like a normal survival until you find this enemy with a red marker above their head. Once you find the enemy with the red marker above their head, they drop a little canister on the ground, and that you take that canister into the Kuva Survival tower, and it actually is going to turn that Kuva Survival tower into a defense objective. If you defend that defense objective from the enemies for an entire minute, it will harvest some Kuva for you, and then you can move on to the next one and rinse and repeat. It's basically turn the Kuva tower into a the survival tower into a defense objective. And you just do that like 100 times in a row. It's really nice because you actually can open these Requiem relics there, which come from Kuva Siphon Towers, Kuva Siphon missions, Kuva Flood missions, and if you are doing a Lich mission, you can actually assassinate the Thralls to get a 5% chance for this relic to drop. There's 4 different ones, and as you see right here, I have over 100 of each of them because I do lots of Kuva Floods, I do lots of Lich hunting missions, and the nice things about these, they drop the Requiem mods you can sell to other players for platinum. They drop the they drop Kuva themselves. So, and they've also dropped these Riven Slivers and stuff like that. I-10 stars, Exilus adapter blueprints. So if you do Kuva Survival Requiem when it appears, which is not really easy to know when it appears. I actually have a bot in my Discord that will, I can check what fissures are up, and then I'll know if Kuva Survival Requiem is up. You can actually hop in there and get. Let me just show you. Like this is a mission that actually rewards endurance. So this is us doing a 160-minute mission. I got 86,000 Kuva with counting the rewards, and I also got 25 Requiem mods. That's about 250 plat. And the other people on the team picked the Kuva rewards, got 100k Kuva, and I don't know how many Requiem mods they got. So it can be very rewarding. And it does. The reason I'm saying it rewards endurance is because the longer you're in the mission, the more Kuva that comes out of the towers. So we're gonna go over some recommendations for what frames to play, what weapons to use, what to mod for. I have even a mini tier list for you as far as good frames for Kuva Survival Requiem. So let's first get into it. I'm gonna quickly just show my main recommendations for the best frames for Kuva Survival Requiem, and let's get into it. So number 1, now keep in mind this tier list, basically everything underneath B tier is like, there's not like really an order to it. It's more of just a suggestion. So I'd say number 1 and 2 are Necros and Cora. Necros and Cora are the best frames for Kuva Survival Requiem. Limbo is really good for defending the tower too, but the thing is you're dealing with nullifiers here too, guys. So let's just do one thing at a time here. I'm going to show you how Cora works. Now there's a couple reasons that Cora is really, really good for Kuva Survival Requiem. So for one, her Strangle Dome does not get affected by enemy nullifiers, and there will be plenty of nullifiers in these missions. So keep that one in mind. Limbo could potentially just get his bubble broken by a nullifier, and then there's going to probably be like a level like 200 enemy right next to you, one-shotting the tower right after that. So you can use Limbo. Some people do like Limbo over Cora, but the nice thing about Cora is she can defend, not affected by nullifiers, and she can DPS. As you see right here, my Whip Claw's not even fully stacked up to 12, and I'm one-shotting these guys with the Riven and all that stuff. So as far as the Cora build, let me show you the build that I use. Now, keep in mind, this is not the only way you can run Cora for this, but you do want to be using your Strangle Dome a lot of the time. The playstyle of Cora here is to use the 4 and the 1, and the 2 is not really used that much here. Neither is the 3. The 3 can be used to heal Necros, because Necros, we'll get into Necros build a little bit here. Necros will be draining a lot of his health with the Spoil Augment mod, And if he doesn't have a self-sufficient build, like our Necros, I don't think he had the best build in this video. As you can see, he's been healed by we have two Coras in this mission. He's being healed by the cat by the other Cora. So right there we got 3,200 from that tower. Smita Kavat also very valuable for this. We'll go into the Smita build in a little bit here too. Now my Neramon is actually bugged here and I was not getting red crits, so keep that in mind. Alright, so this is the Cora build I normally run for this mission. Some things to keep in mind here. I'm running enemy radar to make it so the enemies will run towards me. Or not run towards me, but they're easy to steer on the map, and that will actually affect their aggro to make it so you can kill more per second. Got a good amount of range on here. You could go harder in the range. This is just a suggestion, not the only way to build Cora. We're actually running Umbra Vitality, Umbra Fiber, just for tank stats. You could potentially run Rolling Guard, or maybe even take out Umbral Fiber for more you can't take that in this build. Some people like Rolling Guard. I'd like to run tank stats because it feels appropriate to me. I don't like the... I'll use Rolling Guard on some frames, but on Cora I don't like Rolling Guard. So, a really important mod here is accumulating Whip Claw. So every time you hit 3 enemies with your Whip Claw, it's going to give you increased damage, and that stacks up to 10 times. So you can get some crazy damage in Cora's Whip Claw with this ability. It means you don't need a mod for that much strength. We only have 94% strength, and we hit for... I can 2-shot level 175 Juggernauts in the Simulacrum with Cora. We're also running Arcane Fury. This does work on Cora's Whip Claw. So on critical hit, 60% chance for 180% melee damage for weapons for 18 seconds. That does work on the Whip Claw. Gives you some crazy overkill damage. We're also running Arcane Energize to make it so we can have more energy. And as you see, we have pretty low efficiency on this build. So if you want to run some more efficiency, feel free. But the way I look at it is the reason I build energy pads is for this mission. So we're using Cora with all those mods. We're running Neramon Focus School. The reason we're running Neramon Focus School is because the combo counter does work on Cora, and this will help us keep our red crits going for longer, and it just makes it so you can be pretty lazy. So whip it good. Use Power Spike. Also, a stat stick is pretty important on Cora if you're trying to do big, crazy damage. So we're using actually the Jaw Sword. The reason we're using the Jaw Sword is it has this augment mod called Blade of Truth, which gives you 100% additional melee damage. And we're also running a Riven mod because the Jaw Sword has very high Riven disposition. So something like this is good. Critical chance, critical damage, Toxin. Minus range does not matter on Cora's Whip Claw. Keep that in mind. Lots of the negatives don't matter on Cora's Whip Claw. Here's another Cora Riven right here. Melee damage, critical chance, critical damage. Really good Riven right there, trying to sell it right now. But yeah, this is basically the build you should run on Cora. You can run Weeping Wounds. I don't find Weeping Wounds necessary. It can help you get some slash procs and some like corrosive procs, some viral procs. You run viral. I don't find it necessary at all. So I have decided to run more critical damage instead of running Weeping Wounds, and I one-shot level like 2,000 plus easily. So you don't need Weeping Wounds, but if you want to run it, feel free. If you don't have a Riven, maybe run Weeping Wounds in that slot. And yeah, you can some other stat sticks you can use for Cora. The Mire is really good. The Mire has another augment called Toxin Justice or something like that, where it gives you additional toxin damage, and it also has good Riven disposition as well. Basically, any Riven or any melee weapon with high Riven disposition is going to be a great choice for her. I do think the Jaw Sword is the best, and there's multiple factors to that. By the way, Blood Rush does work on Cora's Whip Claw nowadays. Okay, so we showed the stat stick, we showed the Cora build, we showed the Neramon. The other stuff for Cora doesn't really matter. You could potentially run the Miter with the Neutralizing Justice augment mod, which is going to make it where you're almost guaranteed to pop a Nullifier Bubble when you shoot a Saw Blade into a Nullifier Bubble. So pretty nice there. A Riven for the Miter that would be good as a multi-shot projectile speed Riven, just to make it pretty much hit scan, and you shoot more Saw Blades, so you're more likely to pop the Nullifier Bubble. So with our multi-shot, we have 300% pretty much. It's pretty. I've never shot this at a Nullifier Bubble and not popped it, so keep that in mind. The rest of the build doesn't matter. You just need Fire Rate, Neutralizing Justice, and multi-shot. So I could take off Serration for all I care on that build. All right, moving on to the second recommendation. As I said, Necros is the second bet, or he's number 1 or 2. You could potentially run the loot augment mod on Cora called Pilfering Strangledome, since you're always going to have your Strangledome up. But since you're most likely gonna have a Necros in your squad, you don't really need this mod. You can potentially throw it on somewhere like here. I wouldn't blame you for putting it right there, but for my purposes, I prefer to just have more tank stats there. My builds or suggestions, not the only way to build things, guys. So let's move on to Necros. So Necros has the most important job of the bunch, I'd say. His job is to make it so enemies drop more loot when they die. So what you're going to do is you want to use your third ability on Necros and basically never turn it off. They changed it. If you haven't played Warframe for a long time, Necros used to have to spam his third ability to get the procs to go off. Not the case anymore. It's a toggle now. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Steve. Thank you all you guys for making that change. Oh my god. Let me know in the comments if you guys remember when Necros had to spam 3 all mission. It was the worst thing ever. So, yeah, you only have to use your 3 on Necros pretty much. But if you want to actually have a little bit more fun, you can actually use your 2 and your 4 as well. Your 4 can actually make a Shadow Army. And the Shadow Army does scale with enemy levels. So in the clip right here, I have a level 4,000 Shadow Army. Pretty cool. Very useful? No, but cool. And when the Shadow Army dies, you can actually use your third ability. It's going to desecrate the bodies and give you more loot and health orbs from those dead corpses. So I like to cast it just for more health orbs on the ground. Because we're using Equilibrium mod on Necros. We're also running, as you see right here, we have Adaptation, more enemy radar. Now, if you don't want to run enemy radar, you can actually run there's lots of good aura mods for this, but I would say corrosive protection is not one of them. You don't need corrosive protection anymore. Some good aura mods to run. You could run Steel Charge. You could run, where's the other one? Brief Respite's pretty good for shield gating if you want to use shield gating. Swift Momentum, good for combo duration. No one's going to really be using heavy attacks here, most likely, so the heavy attack wind-up speed, not as important. This will help Cora, though, if you have some combo duration. Like I said, you can run corrosive protection, but I've never ran it, really, since the most recent updates. Energy Siphon, those are the main ones. Like I said, there's quite a couple, though, so I wouldn't blame you for running Steel Charge or even Power Donation. But a little bit extra power strength on Necros is going to help, because if you're using your second ability, Terrify, the more power strength you have, the more enemies affected by the Terrify, which is going to reduce their armor and CC them. So maybe if you get to the Kuva Tower before the Cora does your defense frame, or like if you're running Frost or Gar or something like that, this will actually make it where you can defend the tower as Necros. Going to affect 40 enemies with this build, and it's also going to reduce the armor by 40%. Makes it really easy to kill them. Most important ability, Desecrate, right here. It's not affected by strength, so don't worry about strength on this one. So we're using the Spoil Augment mod, so we don't even worry about our energy pool. You don't have to run strength at all, honestly. So I'm running strength just for fun, but you do not need to run it. So I'm running Adaptation, Umbral Vitality, and Intensify, because he has no armor, really, so Umbral Fiber is going to do basically nothing. We get 150 armor. I guess I could run that, but a lot of range and an Equilibrium. Whatever rank for Equilibrium doesn't even matter. Picking a health orb gives you energy. Picking up an energy orb gives you health. It works really well with Necros. You have infinite energy, infinite health, pretty much. And then lots of range. So the range of my Desecrate is 45 meters. You can go for more. You really can. If you form on Necros some more, you could fit some more on there. Arcane Strike, really good on Necros. Going to give you additional melee speed, because he is very weapon-focused. You're not going to be using your abilities to kill stuff on Necros. That's going to be Cora's job. Arcane Guardian for more tank stats. Why not? And then if you stack lots of enemy radar, you're gonna have a really good enemy killing flow. Make sure you're sticking with your allies at all times to make sure the enemies are flowing well. And I'm going to show you the stuff I use for non-Cora frames here, guys. So we're actually going to be using the Kuva new core with a heat roll on the weapon itself. And that's going to make it where you can actually run viral heat radiation. Really good for condition overload proccing. So we can actually get lots of stacks in the enemies, hit them with our melee weapon, and it's going to destroy them completely. So some good mods to run here. Fire rate, really good for proccing condition overload really fast on the new core. I have Punch Through my Riven. Punch Through is actually one of the most valuable stats on pistol Rivens, because look at this. This is the only Punch Through mod that exists for Rivens called Seeker, or exists for pistols called Seeker. It costs 15 points. It is going to be a dash polarity, and it takes up an entire mod slot just for Punch Through. So if you can roll Punch Through on a new core Riven, it's really good for proccing CO, because it chains so many enemies. Additionally, we're running Eject Magazine. So what this lets you do, and shout out to Relentless Zen for thinking of this idea. You use your new core to proc a bunch of dudes with condition overload. You switch to your melee, swing your melee around. By the time you go back to your new core, it's already fully reloaded. So really good stuff here. This drops from Sentience. I'm not sure entirely which Sentient it is. And then the rest of the stuff is just status mods to make it so you can proc CO faster. Now running damage, just because the new core can actually kill stuff at level like 3000 already, so why not? As far as a melee, basically just bring your best melee weapon you have and run a condition overload hybrid build. So this is what I'd recommend as a condition overload hybrid build. Notice we're not running viral. You can run viral. I'm not saying you can't run viral, but the way I look at it is we're proccing a bunch of viral with our new core. Why not just min-max it where we're running corrosive on our sword as well? So we have the corrosive, heat, viral combination, all three of those, and we got slash on the Pangolin Prime. So yeah, I recommend modding your melee for corrosive if you're going to be using a new core to proc viral. We got CO here, gonna make it. We get additional melee damage per status on the enemy. Prime reach for more range. You really want some attack speed on the Pangolin Prime, so Berserker, Fever Strike, and Shocking Touch to make corrosive damage. Weeping Wounds to make it so you're proccing lots of slash when you get fully stacked up combo multiplier. This is another place where Naramon's gonna come into play. I'd recommend Naramon in basically all frames besides like maybe if you're gonna play Saren or someone like that. Blood Rush and Weeping Wounds get really good combination together, and then Organ Shatter for more critical damage. Pangolin Prime's good. Some other melees that are really good. Cronin Prime, going to be really powerful. You can use some heavy attack builds if you really want to, like the Hate. There's the Kuva Shield Egg. I haven't tried that, but I do think it would be really good. Dual carries. A lot of these weapons just use the same build I just showed you in the Pangolin Prime. Maybe switching some things here and there, but they're pretty much the same. I don't know if I'd ever use the Fragor Prime for this. You don't want to really use heavy attack builds. You're going to be killing lots of enemies. So spamming heavy attacks for like hours and hours probably not going to be your best bet. So I say light attack builds are better. Jack Hussar is tested against level 1000 plus. Works great. Now this is where you're gonna want to use a Riven, guys. This is what you roll Rivens for. Is this kind of mission right here, a long endurance run. So keep that in mind. I'm gonna be showing most stuff with Rivens, but here's an old Riven build right here. The normal build I usually run is right here. Actually, no, that's not that's a build for another video. I basically just run the same build, but with, instead of Weeping Wounds, no, not instead of Weeping Wounds, instead of, I think it's Organ Shatter, I run my critical damage, critical chance Riven. Same thing, just higher stats, pretty much. So, this is what you roll Rivens for. Like I said, Naramon on Necros. Let's move on to the next one. So, we went over the top most important frames, and then the rest of them is like, we got Mesa, we got Saren, we got Limbo, we got Octavia, and then, like I said, guys, not extremely, like, super accurate past, like, the top tiers. This is more suggestions, but you can use a lot of these frames for this mission. So let's get on to Saren next. I have lots of experience with Saren in a long Kuva survival, so here we go. I'm going to hop into the Saren build and just show you some gameplay real quick. Alright. So for Saren, I do run Zenerek on Saren because I want to make sure I always have my energy going so I can kill everything on the map for my allies. If you notice right here, we're not actually running a Cora for this mission. But we did have a Cora, but he DC'd. So we actually went on for another hour. You don't need Cora. You don't need Cora at all. All you really need is Necros and lots of death. So yeah, our Cora DC'd here. So there is a Strangledome. The Cora eventually DC'd. But yeah, you do want to have a defense frame. So keep that in mind. What I'm running right here is I'm running the new Cora, the Jack Hussar, and then I'm running Saren. So, high range, okay strength, and decent duration built on Saren. The only thing you don't really need is efficiency, because people will be using energy pads here. You can use Zenerek, and Saren scales really well anyway, so it doesn't really even matter if you have Naramon, because your abilities will do lots of the killing. So our Cora did DC here. Okay, so for the Saren build that I run for long missions, keep in mind, I have weirdly ranked mods. I'm actually going to be running Brief Respite on Saren. I think that at least one Brief Respite should be used in your squad for these kinds of missions because Shield Getting is extremely powerful. So maybe Necros could run it, Saren could run it, Cora could run it. Just have one of them, and then have some enemy radars, and then maybe like a Corrosive Projection, a Steel Charge, a Swift Momentum. It's really up to you. So what I'll normally do for a longer mission is I'll actually I'll remove a little bit of range. This is my normal Saren build. I'll put on just like an Augur Message right there. And the more duration you have, the the longer it takes to lose your corrosive buff from your spores. So that's what I look at it like. I don't need max range. The rooms aren't big enough that I need like too much crazy range, but still 235 is pretty high, to be honest. So here's the Saren build I normally run. You could potentially run Rolling Guard if you want to do that. And yeah, it could probably be a little bit better, but this works great. Arcane Strike and Guardian going to be your recommendations on most frames that are not Cora, where Cora is running Energize and Fury. So yeah, Strike's really good for melee DPS, increasing the attack speed, basically like another attack speed mod. And I really don't switch more on Saren besides I'll just use Zeteric. That's pretty much it. So yep, that's going to be the builds there. And like I said, guys, the reasons you would run this and go longer is because the longer you're in the mission, the more Kuva you get from the towers. They actually caps it at 800 per tower with a booster. Oh, I'll show the cat build. I didn't show the cat build. Very important to show the cat build. So for the cat, you're going to want to bring the Smita Kavat. Very important, because the way I look at this charm ability can give you double Kuva for 2 minutes. And if you're getting double Kuva for 2 minutes, that's like you're spending half the amount of time getting the amount of Kuva you want from that mission. So we've got the Tech Enhanced mod to increase the ability duration of the cat as well. Makes it around like 160 seconds for the cat. We've got Medi Pet Kit to increase the bleed out timer of the cat. You can actually even put on Loyal Companion as well to make it so the bleed out timer is even longer. And some other really important mods here. Pack Leader. You don't need Prime Pack Leader at all. This is like, it really doesn't matter. Like, you could run normal Pack Leader. It's going to make it where when you melee something with your melee weapon, it's going to heal your companion. And it's going to make it so if they're at like 5 health, one hit from your melee weapon probably going to give them like 500, 600 health. So really, really valuable mod for keeping your pet alive, making you have to res it all the time. You also got Tech Assault. 60% chance that the pet will ignore lethal damage and be immune for 4 seconds. This does not have a cooldown, it seems. So you can have a pretty much immortal cat if you're lucky. So these two mods together, Prime Pack Leader and Tech Assault, makes your pet very tanky. You also got the Link mods, Link Health, Link Armor, and Link Shields, make them even more tanky, and Prime Animal Instinct, making it so you have Loot Radar and Enemy Radar. There will be lots of loot on the map, but that Necros going crazy, trust me. So, and then Fetch is very important as well to absorb up loot, so you can not have to go pick up every individual little piece, because there will be, like I said, lots of loot on the map. It's kind of crazy how much loot is on the map sometimes. So, there you go. And as far as getting a squad for this is where the tricky part comes in. So, you need to... This is why it's kind of hard to like recommend exactly what I'm doing here. So you need to know that the survival is going, and then what I do normally is I'll either I'll go into recruiting chat right here and I'll be like hosting Kuva survival Requiem, and Requiem is hard to spell. And then you say how long you like. So I normally be like 2+ hours, 2+ hours PM need relics. So here's the thing: if you post that message and people don't have relics, and like you hop into a mission with someone that doesn't have relics, you're getting less relic reward options. It's just not good. You want to make sure that everyone's on the same page for when you start a mission up, for how long you're going to be staying, for what you're doing. If you're doing the Requiem version where you open relics, you want to make sure that everyone has relics, because if you don't, like, it's just you're wasting your time pretty much. So, and if someone hops in and they're like, what does a long run mean? If you type in like long run, hosting long run can mean a lot of different stuff to some people. So make sure you guys are all on the same page. Make sure you use the bathroom before you hop in the mission, because if you're doing a like 2-hour mission or something like that, and you just drink a bunch of water, yeah, you're gonna probably have to be AFK in that Cora bubble for a couple minutes there. But you can actually get away with being AFK for like an entire minute in the Cora strength dome. So it's not that big of a deal. But yeah, make sure everyone's on the same page before you start these missions up. And as far as the tier list, guys, like I said, it's not extremely accurate. Mesa can do the job that Saren's doing pretty well as well, where she just guns everything down. Limbo can do the job that Cora's doing somewhat well. He can't really do the DPS part. Octavia is a little bit outdated, but she can still make everyone invisible, can make the enemies shoot her amp thing, I think it's called. Mag is, I'm going to go over these really quickly. Mag is really good for choke points, really good for armor removal, things like that. Gara, good for objective defense. She got nerfed a little bit, that she doesn't do 99% DR on the, or 90% DR on the tower anymore, but whatever. Good for nuking as well. Banshee, really good for damage buffing. If you're having some damage issues, you don't have like good ribbons and stuff, Banshee can be a really nice buffer to bring along. Frost is a alternative to Limbo and Cora. Lets you defend, lets you slow enemies down, lets you remove armor with his 4. Ash is really good for removing armor, can do some DPS as well, good with melee. Nova, Nova can actually help a lot if you have some damage issues. Can make it where Mesa's a lot more viable. Makes it where Saren is like actually merciless, just murdering everything. And you can either run a speed or a slow Nova there, as long as you have a Cora or a good defense frame. I'd say Cora is definitely recommended for Nova playstyles. Loki is good for disarming stuff, being invisible. Vauban, good for CC, good for armor removal, minor damage as well. Volt, good for, I don't know if I call him good for objective defense. His shields are invincible though, but I would never replace Cora with Volt. He can also shock stuff. Not really good DPS, but at least usable. Baruch, good for clearing. The way that these missions are laid out, it's like there's lots of hallways. Baruch is really good in enclosed hallways with his Star Platinum, so really good stuff there. We've got Rhino. Rhino's good for a damage buffer. Also, his stomp can do some minor CC. Titania, really good. You can use Titania in multiple ways here. Her CC from her third ability is good. Also, her DPS from her fourth ability is really good here. So I would actually recommend Titania pretty highly. She also has her buffs as well. I was surprised how useful Titania was. By the way, Wisp, Hildren, and Grendel were not on the tier list generator I picked. So yeah, Wisp was actually really high tier as well. She can use her third ability to blind enemies and cause chain reactions with her Will-O-Wisp ability, I believe it's called. She can use her buffs to give additional attack speed. The Shock Mote is actually extremely underrated for this. Shock Mote gives you an additional proc for condition overload. Also, if you have a high enough range build, it's going to shock enemies in a huge area. So really, really good stuff with Wisp there. And then we move on. We have Trinity, good for giving people infinite energy. Good for healing people with shield gating, etc., etc. Trin's great choice. Ivara, good for cloaking your allies. Good for putting enemies to sleep. Decent for DPS, and she can go invisible as well. With shield gating, Ivara is a lot safer nowadays. Atlas, decent DPS for clearing hallway. Another frame like Baruch, good with hallways. Petrify the entire hallway, punch him down with his landslide. Good stuff there. And then as far as me going over every single frame in C and D tier, I mean, we could quickly do it. Ember, decent for burning enemies with her fire and reducing their armor and doing minor DPS. Revenant, pretty good for DPS as well as mind control, and he has the Reeve and Enthrall combo that can one-shot high-level enemies. Hydroid is definitely probably should be in D tier. He's way too slow, and his loot ability is like okay, but he has the Corrosive Barrage augment mod, I believe it's called, where he can reduce enemy armor. I mean, I usually tell people to switch off Hydroid if they're in my squads, but you could run them. Mirage, mostly going to be like a damage source, just blowing stuff up with her 1 and 3. Neja, pretty good with his CC, his Safeguard augment mod, his Chakram ability to increase damage. Pretty good stuff with Neja. More of a solo frame, of course. Equinox. The problem with Equinox is there's going to be lots of nullifiers. So, yeah, the nuking ability from Equinox's 4 probably not going to be as useful, especially since enemies have lots of armor, or they have armor guaranteed nowadays. But you can still put enemies to sleep. You could still nuke stuff with Day Equinox 4. It's okay. Nidus more of a solo frame. Nidus Spectre is great, but yeah, he doesn't have shield gating. He's going to not be doing much for the team, but he could be useful, where you pull enemies together and stomp them with your 1, and maybe get some healing with your 4, give some more power strength to Cora with your 3. Like, he does some stuff, but the fact he doesn't have shield gating kind of hurts it for me. Wukong, just mostly a solo, selfish frame. He can kill stuff. His clone can help shoot stuff. Nothing really to write home about there. Excalibur going to blind stuff. Going to use his 4 for DPS. That's mostly all he's going to be doing here. Harrow going to be more of a damage boosting support with his 4, his 2, and his 3. And some minor CC from his 1. Harrow's actually pretty good for this. Chroma, similar boat. You can use your 3 on Cora to make her do additional damage with her Whip Claw. And you can just be a solo damage dealer yourself. Hildren and Oberon going to mostly be supports, so nothing really crazy there. Oberon can remove armor with his 4 and 2 combination, which is kind of nice. And Hildren can remove armor all over the place with her 2, so pretty good there. And then low tier, these are frames that are either too slow or are kind of outdated or not extremely useful. So we got Garuda. Garuda, I love Garuda, honestly one of my favorite frames, but there's not really much reason for her to go to a Kuva survival late game besides just having fun. So you can slash debuff enemies, you can heal, And that's pretty much it. You can nuke stuff with your 1 and your 4 combo. It's a little bit too slow for my taste, and I'd mostly be using my weapons on Garuda for this kind of mission. Inaros, he's not going to be doing much to help the team. He's just going to be staying alive pretty much. So you can blind enemies with your 1, and there you go. 3, you can use your 3 if the tower is overwhelmed, but by the time you use your 3 on Inaros, the tower is probably already dead. And if you're Inaros and you also heal up your 4, you might heal your allies with your 4. There you go. Nyx can do some limited armor removal on like 8 enemies, I think it affects, and her chaos makes it so the enemies are less likely to shoot you and your teammates, so that's pretty good, but you know, you're playing Nyx to get that stuff. Zephyr is going to have her tornadoes to CC enemies, and she's going to have her 3 to take to avoid non-melee damage. Not extremely useful if you ask me, and I don't like Zephyr. And then we got Valkyr and Grendel. Valkyr is basically just a Steel Fiber and Berserker buff on legs. Sorry, Valkyr. I used to main Valkyr, okay? So, I'm sorry. She's outdated. She needs a rework, if you ask me. And then Grendel is Grendel. He can do his Toxin and an energy regen buff with his 1 and his 2 combination, but you could just run, like, you could run someone else instead of that, honestly. But don't feel bad if you have to play Grendel, because, you know, he has shield gating at least. So, that's the tier list. I didn't expect to have to go over all that, but I decided to, so. Yeah, guys, like I said, endurance is rewarded here to some extent. Once you get past an hour, you get 800 Kuva per tower, and you're going to have lots of trace at the end of this. You're going to have like 1,500, 2,000 trace at the end of like an hour, 2-hour run, and that might be useful to you. That lets you rad a bunch of relics for like Ivara Prime, whatever you're trying to farm. So, yeah, I'll talk to you guys next time. Hopefully you found this video helpful and useful. You know, it was kind of like an impromptu video. I had a lot more planned to do, but, you know, I just want to show you what the top frames for this are, which are Cora and Necros. And then Saren, Mesa, the other ones, just run like your normal build for them, honestly. But you might want to be a little bit more tanky than usual. Keep in mind, shield getting is a thing. If your shield is broken, you have a brief period of invincibility. So shield pads are really good for this. This is what you build energy pads for, in my opinion, if you don't run Eidolons. I have so many energy pads for this over here. I have like 3,000 energy pads. Because, yeah, I'm running Naramon in lots of these frames, so this will give me 100 energy per tick of this energy pad. So this is what you build them for. Shield pads, you potentially could use them for shield gating, but I don't normally run them. And that's going to basically be it, guys. I'll talk to you guys next time. Please like, share, and subscribe, and take it easy. Peace.